Hi everyone and welcome back to our third episode of Shine Podcast. I'm your host and today we're talking about something really important, embracing social and cultural diversity. With me is Dani who recently took part in European Solidarity Corps project, part of the EU's efforts to support young people in making a difference.
Hi, Stefan. Don't worry, I've left my European jargon dictionary at home, so we'll keep things simple.
Hey, perfect. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is European Solidarity Corps and what does participation involve?
Think of ESC like a summer camp for young adults, except instead of campfires, you get intercultural workshops, team projects. It's an EU initiative that allows young people from both member and partner countries to volunteer or work abroad in projects ranging from cultural events and education to social inclusion and environmental work. It's designed to implement EU values like solidarity, equality, and non-discrimination, which are also described in the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights. It's about learning new skills, building intercultural understanding, and becoming an active citizen, not just collecting stamps on your passport. I volunteered actually for 6 months in a small town in southern Spain, working with local youth to organize cultural events and language exchange workshops. The team was very diverse, people from all over Europe, different cultures and backgrounds. And this is actually open not only to EU member states, but also to partner countries. And Montenegro is included thanks to the EU enlargement and neighborhood cooperation policies.
That's great. What made you want to apply for the ESC project in the first place?
For me, it was about making a real difference and learning outside the classroom. ESC is closely linked to EU Youth Strategy, which promotes inclusion, participation, and solidarity among young people. I wanted to experience those values firsthand and see how they work in practice.
How did you find out about the program and was it easy to apply from your country, for example?
I heard about ESC through a local NGO, a non-governmental organization, supported by the EU's Erasmus Plus program. Applying was fairly straightforward because of the EU's effort to include partner countries through neighborhood policies.
That sounds amazing, but I've heard some criticisms like these programs sometimes mainly benefit those who already have opportunities, while others feel like left out. Did you notice that?
Well, yes, and it's a real issue. Access can be uneven. Young people from rural areas, economically disadvantaged backgrounds, or smaller towns can face language barriers, lack of information, or even the simple challenge of buying a plane ticket. One volunteer I met from a small village struggled with basic integration. Public transport was confusing and the host organization support was inconsistent. She felt isolated, sometimes even excluded from team discussions. By the end of the project, she had improved, but it was hard work and some of the challenges were never fully solved. This shows that policies like the EU Youth Guarantee and the Erasmus Plus inclusion measures are essential, but need stronger local implementation.
Wow, so not everything is rosy. That really highlights some systemic gaps. How does the experience help build intercultural understanding?
Living and working with people from across Europe exposes you to different ways of thinking, cultural habits, and social norms. You learn to communicate, navigate conflicts, and respect differences, sometimes the hard way. For example, during a project planning session for a cultural festival, our team of 6 volunteers had very different ideas. One wanted traditional performances from each country, another wanted interactive workshops. Voices got raised, and for a moment it felt like someone was about to throw a tambourine. Thanks to our training, we calmed down and started the discussion so everyone could explain their ideas. In the end, we created an event that joined the traditional performances and workshops for local youth. One shy volunteer who had barely spoken at the start ended up taking the most. It was a real lesson in patience, compromise, and the power of listening.
Okay, I hear you. That sounds both intense and rewarding. I love how even the challenges became learning opportunities.
Exactly. Inclusion isn't just a goal, it's a process. It takes patience, empathy, and sometimes a sense of humor.
So true. Do you think that this experience can impact communities back home?
Absolutely, but it depends on follow up. Individual growth is one thing, but transferring that knowledge locally requires effort. Some young people return and create workshops, cultural events, or inclusion projects in schools or youth centers. Others struggle because local structures or public awareness aren't ready to support them. So there is a balance. The EU programs give the tools, but local commitment is needed to turn them into sustainable change.
Understandable. From our perspective, which EU values were most visible during your time in the program?
The ESC emphasizes solidarity, equality, non-discrimination, democracy, participation, respect for diversity. These values are not just words, they are part of the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights and the EU Youth Strategy. But implementing them is complicated. Voices can dominate meetings, some participants may feel marginalized, and structural inequalities remain. Real-life application of these values requires ongoing reflection, active facilitation, and sometimes intervention from experts or mentors.
Speaking of challenges, they say mobility programs just encourage brain drain. We leave, we see better opportunities elsewhere, and we don't want to come back. Didn't you feel that temptation?
Honestly, yes, I saw how attractive life abroad can be, but I didn't see it as a brain drain. For me, it was about gaining skills, ideas, and a new perspective that I could bring back home. And even if some people stay abroad, they can still create connections that benefit their communities here, through partnerships, projects, or simply sharing knowledge. I would say programs like ESC are one piece of a bigger puzzle. They won't solve structural inequalities on their own, but they can empower individuals to act locally, connect internationally, and advocate for change. They also show that the EU isn't just policies and funding, it's a network of people striving for inclusion and solidarity. At the same time, it's okay to question the system and push for improvements. Access, transparency, and follow up support are areas where the EU can do better.
So, participation is valuable, but reflection and critique are also essential, right?
Exactly. Embracing social and cultural diversity isn't just celebrating differences, it's understanding barriers, questioning assumptions, and creating inclusive practices that actually work.
Finally, what advice would you give young people thinking about joining a problem like ESC?
Go for it, but go critically. Be ready to learn, face challenges, and reflect on both successes and setbacks. And think beyond yourself. How can your learning inspire change in your community? How can diversity be a real strength, not just a nice Instagram hashtag? And remember, these programs are rooted in EU values and policies, but they work best when combined with local commitment and personal reflection.
Thank you for everything you said. Your insights show how EU opportunities shape young people's life while also reminding us that building inclusive communities takes effort and reflection.
Thank you. I hope more young people feel encouraged to participate and engage thoughtfully.
For our listeners, if you want to learn more about European Solidarity Corps or other EU youth initiatives, check the links in the episode description. Stay curious, stay open, and stay kind. Until next time.